Hello and welcome back to another episode of the podcast for the recently deceased. I'm Nate Roberts here with
Rodney Godek.
and today we're going to be talking about Antlers, Guillermo Del Torro and Scott Cooper's latest, we'll call it a creature feature.
Yes, absolutely. An undone creature? No one there is.
Yeah, so there's probably like one sci-fi straight to video movie called Wendigo from like a decade ago.
Okay, right.
That I
Real bad CG, just rush.
just garbage. Just a garbage movie. And so I was excited for Antlers because man, did I want to see a Wendigo done right. Guillermo del Toro, he likes to make animatronics.
Yeah.
he has a disdain for CG, hopefully on a similar level as I do. And although we don't get to see it till late in the film, and we'll talk about it later as opposed to right now.
Sure.
The creature payoff is quite good.
Yep. So I looked into seeing how influenced the director was, because Guillermo del Toro isn't the director; he's producing on it. And so I did a quick search just to see how involved, because Scott Cooper is not known for directing horror. He's got 4 major movies, one of which was Crazy Heart that won awards, and so I don't know how he got a part of it, but I did see and read that he was more involved or committed to being involved in this movie specifically because of Guillermo del Toro's involvement. He knew that he could take notes from him and use his creative genius and partner with him where he needed to make a stronger film. So his involvement was the reason why he signed on to do it, because so you can, even though Guillermo del Toro is not directing, you could assume he's heavily involved in a lot of what this film is about.
Right, and you definitely feel Guillermo's presence.
Yeah.
Pan's Labyrinth, another super atmospheric horror movie. Antlers, the same way, slow burn, super creepy early on, giving you plenty of backstory on the characters.
Yeah, and that's the thing that a lot of newer horror films don't do. They don't limit the scope of how many people are involved in the story. There's a lot of noise with other characters or ins and outs. Like this one was really narrow focused on just the handful of characters that were driving the story. And you really got invested in them. You really cared. You saw a lot, but not too much.
Right. So not too much. Is that a good or a bad thing? We get what's her name? Felicity, right? What's her
name? Carrie. No,
I was thinking of Felicity.
Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell. Yeah. Carrie Russell.
Jesse Plemons, and then random people for the most part.
Right. So Carrie Russell.
Yeah.
Who I know from more things than Felicity. She was in a great rom-com with Nathan Fillion about pie. I can't remember the name of it, but check it out.
Okay. Take your word for it. I don't remember that one.
It was good. Little known Nathan Fillion feature.
Yeah.
Carrie Russell's backstory. It's creepy. Like her past is troubled. She connects with the main boy, who has a seemingly troubled present.
Yes.
Right. And we get backstory. She lives with her brother. She was a teacher
recently. Yeah.
She was a teacher in California. She comes home to her small town in Oregon to live with her brother, who she misses very much. And they had tragedy with their parents in the past. Their mother died when they were, still living together. She missed her father's apparent suicide while she was living in California, and just has come back to live with the brother. Now, we get snippets.
Yeah. But
we don't ever get the whole story.
No, and a lot of it could be fantastical. Like, she's developed some of the imagery. Maybe not all of it. Like, I don't understand. The one shot that was, jarring and odd was the naked on
the bed crying.
It must have been. It looked like the father.
It was the father.
Very bizarre, because he was tied up, hogtied almost.
Yeah.
So it was odd, but there's a quick shot of her under the stairs with him coming down. It was her hiding spot, which I think she told Lucas about at some point. So yeah, it was just that shot. It was the bed shot, and it was her picturing him approaching her at the piano and putting his arm around her. It was so creepy.
Oh yeah,
you felt like so disgusting.
And the brother's coming up behind her at the same time, and we get a little jump scare there. So so to touch on the jump scares real quick, there were a handful, and they were all done in moments of psychological tension with like backstory.
Yeah.
I feel like once the action started, it was just action and violence.
Yeah.
They didn't really try to jump scare you. I think they did jump scare you once with the Wendigo. When the rando, the one rando, one of the rando deaths, when he goes into the shed and sees the boy. Yeah. He's like, oh,
I know you
and then he's just right behind it.
That's fair. It's a trope.
Yeah,
it's fun.
I like what it says, maybe about the Wendigo or maybe about the father. Like, does the father is the father's memory, the father's brain? Is there anything there from his humanity or from his days as human as the Wendigo monster? Because it was a standard like bait and trap.
Yes,
like it was almost as if the Wendigo knew that the human would come to try and help the boy, and as soon as his back was turned, he could get him from behind.
Yeah, that's
because it was quick and done and over. And then he did it again. Yeah, immediately he does it again with the brother who is the sheriff of the small town.
Yes,
and thankfully he doesn't kill him, but if it happens twice in a row, literally like someone hunting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of embodiment into that spirit. So. So I guess we're kind of like, but the characters is focusing on Kerry Russell's character, really strong, and so with how much they show, to me, I feel like it was just enough to kind of confuse you or to like just give you a little inkling of it, and it really just helps you get more invested where you want to know more. It's like obviously a clear trauma or a present trauma or maybe just being back home, it's all stirring it back up, but clearly the brother is still troubled.
Right.
He's popping a pill.
Yeah, and what's crazy about the brother is, okay, we're getting all this Kerry Russell backstory, but they have a fight, and the brother ends the fight with the line, "You don't know what he did to me."
Yeah.
Because she just keeps talking about
just about her.
About what happened to her, what happened to her,
yes.
what she survived. And he goes, "You have no idea what he did to me." And she just walks, like the argument over.
And dude, like the coolest part, I don't know a ton of people in law enforcement. My brother and I don't talk as much about he's a state trooper. Yeah. And so like there's a stoicness to the way that he plays the character, which I think Jesse Plemons is great. I've seen him in a few things. He's amazing.
Great. He's great.
But how almost dead or numb he is seeing all of these horrific deaths. He's reacting a little bit, but he's popping the pills and he just has this coldness, and you can see it. Like you can see he's somewhere in there, he's being affected as traumatically as everyone that's seeing it, but he's like processing it differently, or he's handling it, or he's bearing it and not letting it out. He's not handling it well.
Yeah, he's got the job. He's got to be like,
no one else was gonna. He said,
right? No one else was gonna do it. Why did you run? You should never have ran.
It's so
Kerry Russell
deep.
says,
like there's so much depth.
Yeah, you shouldn't have run. No one else was going to. So yeah, someone has to say, rope off the scene. Someone has to, put out roadblocks. Someone has to call the shots, so he can't show that he's affected to these people.
So it's just, there's
who
so
are
much
all
there.
terrified.
So the one thing I wanted to talk about and get your opinion on is the Native American element in it.
Okay.
So there's a part of me that sees the film, if I'm, stepping out and looking at it critically, where it could be perceived as somewhat of an appropriation of Native American culture to make a cool movie.
Yeah, okay. So I kind of felt the same way.
I can see that.
I kind of felt the same way, or I kind of felt it.
Not to be like a narc or
no.
crying about it, but I can see it that you've got a point.
I'm definitely not complaining about it being used as a mechanism. What I will say is it did feel like it didn't matter to the story.
Yeah.
They were like, they spent like literally 90 seconds explaining the Native American story,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was one other line where Carrie mentions the boy, and the Native American character who gave you the story goes, is he Native? And she goes, no.
Yeah.
And other than that, there's no mention.
Yeah.
There's no more backstory. There's no more.
And I like that about it. I think that's what I like about it, because a way that a ham-fisted approach to this kind of story or movie would have been, we have to be over the top Native American. There's a guy wearing a headdress, and he's going to follow them around in the back of the car and explain everything. Oh, the Wendigo is doing this now because this, and my ancestors did this. Like, we don't need all that, but someone that's dumb would do that because you think that the viewer needs it.
We have to
give credence to this. This is a real story because all these Native Americans believe this.
We have to lure him to the burial ground, and only there can we kill him and bury his remains to destroy the monster. Yeah,
sometimes dead is better.
Sometimes dead is better.
So I feel it was great. The guy that played it, Graham Greene, played that Native American guy. He's in so much. So much. Sage, and I think it was done tastefully. I don't think it's appropriate. I am on the side this was just the right amount of using it as a way to give credence to the story.
Sure. Whatever their reason, I just felt like it was such a small kind of just throw in that it didn't even need to be there. Maybe they did it.
I think it needs to be there.
Maybe they did it as a nod. Hey, look, we know where we're getting the source material from, so
just to acknowledge
it. So here it is.
What we're going to do with the story.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it truly did not matter to the story.
Yeah, no, it didn't with what was happening. Sure.
I mean, I guess the fire heart imagery gets explained by that story, but that's probably it.
Yeah. Okay.
So back to the film. We have a boy who is disturbed. We don't quite know why. Kerry Russell's character is his teacher in a class called storytelling, or maybe the storytelling section of English class.
Yeah.
Who knows? They're 12, right?
Right. They're talking about myths, fables, whatever.
Yep. And she relates to him right away. She senses the trauma. She relates to it with her own trauma.
Yeah.
And tries to take this boy under his wing because he obviously gets bullied. We see him getting bullied a few times. And then we get to see why.
Yeah.
So, we're 20 minutes in, I think, and we're just okay, there's a lot of setup. We're getting a lot of meat to the backstory here in this little town. And then he bashes a skunk's head in with a rock, and he brings it to his dad so his dad could eat it raw. His dad's pale and losing his hair and all black and veiny, and his brother's also pale, but he sneaks his brother some human food, which I thought was very interesting. In the first feeding scene, and then he locks himself in his room where he has to just sit there with headphones on as his father beats on the door to try to get to him. Or his brother cries through the door because he's so hungry.
Oh my god! I felt at that moment I was just felt wretched. It's awful. You're trying to care for your sibling, your father. You're distraught. You're on your own. You're in the darkness because there is no power.
There's no power.
Your dad cooks meth, and your mother is not there. How isolated and scary is because the kid is his little brother, I think, was supposed to be 7 or 8, and so I think he's 12 or something.
Yeah, he's 12. Yeah, because Carrie was also 12.
Yeah,
they make that kind of connection.
So it just the feeling of seeing all that, just traumatic.
Yeah, right in the beginning, before the movie starts, we get this little scene where the boy's father gets attacked in this mine shaft where he is cooking meth at the top.
Right before it opens up, and that's the other part. And that's in the background too. It's environmentalism. The spirits are angry because now you hear it in the news a little bit during the film where they're talking about this mine is opening and it's one of 12 or whatever mines opening in the area. So that's there. So yeah, that's why they're there. they're cooking, taking advantage of the area that no one's supposed to be in to do what they need to do without anyone detecting it. And so, and that's where they first encounter, and you don't get the answers. Just you see it when Lucas is in school, and when Kerry Russell's character finds the drawing,
Right.
and that's what gets the ball rolling. With now, people have to go to this house and discover. She wants people to.
Yes, she suggests the principal go there, and our principal is our first victim.
Yeah, Uncle Buck's love interest.
Yeah. Yes.
I was like, I saw her, and I was like thinking, I know her, and I was like, yeah, that's what it is.
So she she goes to the house, and as we heard previously in the film, the brother whining for food. We hear the brother whining, so she goes right into the house, right into the room, and
Up the attic.
Up into the attic. The father knocks her down, clubs her once, and chomps right into her.
Yeah. She bites her neck. He bites her neck at first, then like he bites part of her face off.
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Very.
A lot of gore.
Yeah. We get to see him, and he's like full for the first time, and he's just like stringy, muscly, very pale, black lines from the sickness.
Gollum-like almost.
Yeah, Gollum-like. But yeah, Gollum was exactly how I described him to Anastasia.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely losing his hair, stringy hair. He's got a full bushy beard though, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, still there.
Yeah, I liked the beard. So she's gone, and then what happens next? Oh, right. So he transforms. So
right, yeah, Lucas covers it up.
So
he covers up the car, and it's like, and then it takes a little while until where people realize the principal's missing, and then Kerry Russell sees the car, and that's when the cops come. But while that's all transpiring in the background, you're right.
He transformed. The transformation. So seemingly the animal, the raw animal meat that his son Lucas has been feeding him has kept this Wendigo spirit at bay. He finally gets to taste human flesh, symbolic or not. Maybe they did on purpose. Maybe they didn't. Maybe it's just timing.
Yeah,
it's time. He has to transform eventually. We get this Wendigo transformation sequence, which was cool. It wasn't a full like werewolf style.
A lot of it was hidden, which again I think is a good thing.
Yeah. But right at the end, the jaw pops open and the Wendigo head comes out.
Yeah.
For a split second, cutaway. Right.
Real quick. Yeah.
So it was nice. It was nice. Well, real quick, I just want to touch on it since we're talking about it. Later, when you see the Wendigo in full form, the flesh of the face is still stuck to the Wendigo's head.
And it's turning and it's just hanging there.
It's just
mask.
Yeah, it's just laying there.
Awesome.
It was very
unexpected, nice. But yeah.
All right,
perfect.
So back in time,
maybe unrealistic. I don't care.
Yeah, back in time, Lucas is running through the woods, and he knows his father's out as the Wendigo now, and he gets cornered by the bully, and Dad Wendigo just hops on the bully, starts going to town. Yeah. Lucas gets to run away, and he goes to Carrie, who's the only character who can help him, right? Or the only ally this boy has in his life, right? Is Kerry Russell's character.
But, he's also, he's accepted, this is my life, like, they're going to come for me. Like, he knows that, like, he's with her, but, like, he knows that this isn't a real security.
Right. They're going to come for me and take me to the mine, which is what he tells her. Yeah. So they have, they get the clue. Now, the whole town's on alert looking for this man. They don't know that they're looking for a monster.
Yeah, the kids, they keep finding it, and every single time that they, like, I think it started with the autopsy that the Native American guy found in the woods. They show that body.
Yeah.
The shot, like the what they built on that table for them to look at and have, the forensic pathologist or whatever talking about it. Like, I don't know what this is. This is human teeth here, but like just the look of it, it looks so good, so realistic.
When they find that body, when they say it's human teeth, the bite marks, that was nice.
Yeah, he's just laughing like, come on. And so then whenever whenever you see the father's husk they describe it at some point.
Yeah.
That too, because that's happened now where they've seen that.
Right. They think he's dead, and they're just looking.
And they're still on the thing. They still think it's animal attacks.
Right, and they're looking for the boy because the younger brother is now missing, and so everybody's looking for the boy. Everybody's looking for the boy, and they think the dad's dead.
Yeah.
Because of that husk.
It was burned, like they said. There's still teeth. They're going to check the teeth.
Yeah. There's the burn marks. Yeah. So we still haven't really seen the full Wendigo. Right? Yeah. We've got the boy hiding out in a shed. We get a rando. I think this is the only rando death.
Yeah. So what happens is they are in the hospital, and she wants to take him in, and the brother doesn't, and that's where they end up going to his house. While they go figure out, he has to go talk to. He goes downtown to talk to someone. He gets separated. The brother gets separated, right. And then the sheriff's helper. It takes them at the house after they've discovered all these bodies, and so they're like holed up with a guard, and right. That's where what happens now is he hears something outside, and the kid knows. He's like, yeah, they're coming for me.
Right.
He's here.
He's here now. Yeah.
And that's another guy that's in a. He's been in other roles. Rory Cochrane plays Daniel LaCroix, the sheriff's deputy.
Right, Danny. Yeah, Danny was the death there.
Yeah. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, long hair.
Oh,
hippie.
Really?
Yeah, the dude that smokes pot. Or am I thinking Dazed and Confused?
I think you're thinking of Dazed and Confused.
Dazed and Confused.
Yes.
Yeah. The hippie.
Yeah. That was.
And also Oculus brother. He's the Oculus brother. That's right. That was his other role. Anyway, Yeah. So he's investigating. He goes to the shed. He's lured to the shed.
And the Wendigo, I feel like traps him.
Yeah.
Like I feel like in fully sentient, knows what he's doing, comes up right behind him, gores him right through the back, and the scene takes 1 second.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah, it's super quick. Just gores him, throws him off.
The noises are great. Another thing with the film, the sound.
Oh yeah, yeah. I can't say enough about animatronics, good sound, especially in a horror film. Yeah. Right? You really need, for the immersion. We brought this up a couple weeks ago. I want to feel like I'm there.
Yeah.
Watching, as an outsider
or
a bystander.
Yeah, because it's got everything. We talked about the character development. You're into the story, and then just the sound of it, everything, the look of everything. So yeah, I didn't check, but director of photography and whoever did the cinematography, it's just excellent.
Excellent. Okay, so then the sheriff comes in.
Yep.
Gets lured in by the boy, and the Wendigo attacks him the same way he attacked Danny. Doesn't kill him, kind of throws him off to the side. Mm-hmm. And that's when Lucas gets grabbed, and they go to the mine.
Yes.
And Carrie, she knows it, and so she goes to the mine.
Yeah, she gets the brother, checks on the brother.
Yep.
Bandages him up or whatever, and throws him in the truck.
And the brother refuses to let her go alone.
Dude, the shot of her entering the mine. She's walking up to the doorway, and you see the caution tape or whatever. It was like one of the great scenes that you would see in a video game or something, where it's like a dumb shot, where they're approaching the place to be.
Yeah.
And there's wind blowing, there's rain, and Kerry Russell's just excellent at conveying. She seems fragile when she needs to seem fragile, but she seems badass and has that sternness, that face of determination that is so. It's great.
She was a total badass at the end of this film, and the scene we're about to talk about. So she gets to the end of the mine shaft, and it's literally just a showdown with the monster.
Yeah.
We get to see the full Wendigo now.
You see the 2 kids, and then she keeps going. You know what's going to come, and she sees it, and it's eating a bear. It just killed a grizzly bear.
Yeah. and we know from the Native American story that a Wendigo is weakest after it's fed. And this is important information because how else could Kerry Russell kill this thing? It had just fed.
Yeah.
So this is its weak point, her only opportunity to put an end to it.
Yeah. And the only way to do is by extinguishing the fire.
The fire of that
heart.
That heart stone or whatever you want to call it. It's definitely something physical. It's not just this ray of light
Right.
or whatever, because she cuts it out of the thing after
She's
the fight.
singeing her hands.
Her hands are burning.
Yeah. So the fight.
The fight was awesome, and it wasn't too long and it wasn't too short. I think it was like just right, because something like this, if it was too quick, we're all disappointed. If it was too long, it kind of doesn't make too much sense, right? Like, if it goes on long, Carrie probably dies, right? Yeah. And we do get a moment where Carrie's going to lose this thing, but Lucas has his knife.
Yep.
And Lucas actually deals the quote-unquote crippling blow or killing blow right at the end. He stabs that heart stone with his knife.
Yeah. And it collapses, and then she continues
she takes the knife and cuts it right out.
That's another reason, I guess, why they needed the exposition with the Native American. Right. You need to be told, how do you defeat this?
Right.
You can't them going to the library and looking up Native American lore doesn't really make sense.
Right.
To then figure out how do we get rid of this thing, and just killing it ruins the whole idea of it being a neat supernatural being or whatever.
Right.
So
okay. So they extinguish the flame.
Yeah.
And then we're in for a fucking treat.
Yeah.
Because the chest on the brother immediately lights up.
Yeah.
And he starts to snarl, and bones crack as he starts to contort.
And the kid, and Lucas is like, no,
yeah,
he's still there. You can't.
Yeah, and Carrie Russell just has Lucas's knife and says it has to be this way, and just we know what she does, and it happens off camera.
Look at the flags. Yeah. And she says that she says something cheesy like "look away" or something. Like, there's one part that took me away a little bit because I thought of Walking Dead and Carol.
Yeah.
But part of me thought Lucas is gonna not let her
let her kill the
when
brother.
Her back is turned. He's got that knife still. He's still holding it.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust her. He's gonna protect his brother. I thought that might happen as a twist.
Yeah.
But yeah, they handle it pretty quickly.
Yeah. Then we get a quick little wrap up, right? The brother and her have now adopted Lucas. Carrie definitely wanted to, and her brother Paul.
Shoot, I can't remember. Either way,
definitely didn't want.
Yeah, Paul, you're right.
Paul definitely didn't want to. But he's not too mad about it. He just has like one off-color comment about taking care of this kid now.
Well, and he delivers the line that is left to interpret the ending, where he says, he says something like, "I don't know. Could you kill something that you loved?"
Right.
And then the kid comes out. They walk, her and Lucas walk away.
Yeah.
And then you turn back, pause, a little coughing fit, and you see
the black goo in his hand.
Yeah.
Which now we'll flash back real quick. When Lucas was feeding his father and brother, he was sneaking the human food to the brother. The second time he feeds them, when the brother eats the human food, he coughs it back up and spits up this black goo. Kind of showing us that the brother's gone. He's beyond. He's unsavable at this point. It says to the viewer. Lucas obviously still loves his little brother. Probably believes that there's hope, but at that moment, we as the viewer think, well, now he's as far gone as the dad, right? He's just as bad, or as whatever. There's no.
That's going to end. Yeah, there's going to be another Wendigo creature.
Yeah,
and it's going to be in his body.
When that happened, I was like, "There's two." I was like getting so excited. I was like, "There's going to be a big one and a little one running around." Oh my god! Didn't get to see that, unfortunately. But we get this great, much more touching, emotional, showdown sequence where she has to like murder an 8-year-old who's about to turn into a Wendigo. So the campy horror fan in me, lost out that day. But as far as like tense, slow burn, so a slow burn creature feature. I mean,
Yeah.
This is like a werewolf movie, right? Like,
yes.
Werewolf movies, you go 60 minutes, you don't even see the fucking thing, and then
a lot of times.
and then the last half hour, it's gruesome kills, chasing the werewolf around. Didn't have as much action as something like that,
but you were rewarded during it to see pretty involved depictions of the violence after it had occurred.
Oh yeah, no,
So,
I'm not saying that was a bad thing.
No, yeah, I know. I was just saying, like, but yeah, like in some werewolf movies, you don't always see that. Like, it's just it's happening. You don't always get to see a reward throughout it.
Yeah. So what what you get from Antlers is a much better story. There's a lot more emotion, a lot more tension than you get from your typical horror film. And you still get some good violence, some good graphic violence, even as short as it was, because you got Guillermo in there. He loves to make his shit look good.
Yeah. It was super. It had all the elements that I would want in a horror movie, and especially in a creature feature type horror movie.
And of course with Paul at the end, where he coughs the goo into his hand after surviving the attack.
Yeah.
So we get, this is where the werewolf nod comes in, as the Wendigo has transmitted potentially the sickness to Paul, for one way or another.
Right.
Maybe
he did pierce him, and I don't know if he necessarily pierced
Carrie
Russell's character.
Yeah.
We never said her name. Her name's Julia, but I don't even know if anyone ever said it. Whatever. Yeah. Doesn't matter. So maybe she didn't get infected.
She did get knocked around, but maybe she didn't get saliva or blood transfer.
I still don't feel super great about that ending. I'd rather just not see that. Just let it be resolved. It was an awesome story. They defeated this malevolent spirit being, and it's a cool story, and that's it, and it's done.
So as a horror film, though, horror film endings, even if they never make the sequel, always tease the sequel, right? So for me, I felt like maybe they're not even thinking about Antlers 2, and that was literally just a trope for the sake of a trope. Yeah. Like, there's a horror movie, make sure it ends like there's a sequel. Got to put that in there.
I get that.
But also, you go back to the Native American story one more time. We'll go back to that one more time.
Yeah.
We don't know the pain that Paul suffered.
Right.
The Wendigo could have just latched on to Paul.
That's the other thing.
Because of his pain.
His sorrow. In the beginning of the movie, you're right.
Yes. So just because of his proximity to the events, he was there when at the end, right? So it might not be biological.
I forgot about the text at the beginning of the movie. Yeah. Because that's what it talks about, because it's like the weak, the lost, the frail, and meth heads that are struggling to survive in this,
small
current
town.
times. Yeah, small town with no other lot in life. Yeah, I like that. I like that interpretation.
And that also, lends some strength to how much of Carrie's backstory we see, how little of Paul's backstory we see, and that line that it was one of the best moments in the film for me is when she's like giving him shit, and he just says, "You don't know what he did to me."
Yeah,
talking about the father. I just loved that moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great interpretation. Yeah. That does make me feel a lot better about it closing on that.
Well, right. We don't
interpret how it could have happened.
Yeah. We don't want the Wendigo to transmit biologically. Right. Because then it's lycanthropy. It's a were creature.
Yeah.
We want this myth about sorrow.
Yeah.
And pain.
And you don't see what happens in the mind to the first two characters, so it doesn't really make sense that one is completely mutilated, taken somewhere else in the woods, and yet the father and son come back alive.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Because we also didn't ever discuss in detail that where you see the flashback, because 3 weeks, I think, time passes from whenever they get lost in the mind to when this starts happening with Lucas at school. You don't see that the father locked himself in there with Lucas. Like, he helped build the barricade.
Oh, yes,
he knew what was happening. Something's not right.
With Lucas. He locked himself in with the other.
Yeah, I know. He helped with Lucas to build it and told Lucas what to do, is what I meant.
Yeah.
And so
don't ever open this door.
Yeah. Like, so to your point, he was okay for a little bit. He was shocked by what happened. Something happened up there, and he was able to come back down on his own accord.
Yeah.
And then
it's safe to assume that since there were 3 of them, that maybe they killed the Wendigo. And it just killed the other 2.
Yeah.
And he just happened to survive it.
That's perfectly.
And then the spirit just latched onto him.
Yes.
Because of his own sorrow. They lost the mother. He lost his wife.
Yep.
He's a meth addict a meth dealer.
There's
plenty of...
This gets much richer.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, hey, guys, if you're listening, make the sequel. I will watch it.
Excellent.
We definitely need more Wendigos in our horror. We have plenty of werewolf movies, and maybe 10% of them are good. So let's.
Yeah,
it's tough to make a good werewolf.
Yeah, there's only a few.
So yeah, let's for one quick brief moment. Let's touch on how hard it is to make a good creature feature, because it's all about the reveal, and once you've revealed it, there's no more shock for the reveal. So now, what do you do with this monster now that you've shown it? Mm-hmm. Which is why werewolf movies tank so hard. The story that the werewolf premise is built on is weak.
Usually, yes.
If there's no story, you have nothing after you reveal the werewolf. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. There's nowhere to go besides kill the werewolf, or the werewolf kills people.
Right.
So in Wendigo, right, we have this excellent story. Right. They take their sweet ass time revealing the creature. Creature gets a couple of kills, has a destination built into the story.
Yep.
All of the main characters get to that destination, showdown, resolution, credits.
Yeah.
Like just a great movie. I mean, I'm not going to give it a 10, I'd probably give it a 7.
Yeah.
But a 7 for me is a rewatch rating. At 6 and under, I probably won't watch the movie again unless I think it was like good enough or campy enough to like make someone else watch, and I'll watch it with them.
Yeah.
But a 7, a solid 7.
Yeah, it was solid. It wasn't. Yeah, it's still what it is. It can't be
right.
One of the best movies of all time.
It's not going to be Schindler's List.
Interesting. But what it is, it's excellent.
Yeah,
and you need these kinds of films to bring people into the genre.
Yeah.
To celebrate the genre for the people that have been into it since they were kids. Like it's.
Yeah, it is an excellent movie. Me giving it a 7 is a compliment. When, if you remember,
to someone not as astute or not as accredited as ourselves,
yeah,
they would consider it amazing.
Yeah,
right. It would pull them in. We know it has
its flaws. We look past those flaws,
but it will
for the sake
bring
of
people
for the
to
sake
the
of the genre. So, as I said a couple of weeks ago, I can't remember if I said it in our first episode or our second episode. IMDb gives all horror in its aggregation between a 4 and a 6. Antlers' IMDb score is a 6, which is the highest honor a horror movie can get from IMDb. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7. And you should definitely watch it while it's in theaters. Another thing about Antlers, exclusively in theaters, not streaming.
Yeah.
So catch it in theaters before you have to watch it on your TV at home, because it's Guillermo Del Torro, man.
Yeah, it was great.
He loves building stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Pan's Labyrinth has some of the best animatronics I've ever seen.
Yeah, the Hellboy story.
Hellboy, yeah.
He wanted to do it a certain way, and he made sure that he could.
Yeah. First movie I really enjoyed. Second movie I didn't, but doesn't matter. Both movies were full of amazing things to look at.
And I don't know if you ever saw, but he does an animated series on Netflix called Troll Hunters that I watch with my kids. It is epic.
Really?
The way it starts, the first story, I'm totally into it. It was an excellent animated tale.
Okay.
And all the world building that you see in Hellboy, where you see trolls in Underworld, like the market that they go to in the second film.
Sure.
It's all in cartoon, and the high resolution type cool stuff, not too anime style type fictitious things. But it's excellent. I highly recommend that if anyone has kids.
What was it called?
Troll Hunters.
Troll Hunters.
Troll Hunters. Tales of Arcadia.
Okay, so let's shift focus over to Guillermo.
Yep. Deep dive.
Yeah, Guillermo Del Toro, who he gets a lot of acclaim for being a horror director, but when you go over his roster, I mean, he got his start on Mimic, right? I mean, there was some stuff before that, Kronos, and
I think Kronos is what most people would say would probably be his entry into filmmaking, but as far as U.S. release,
right? That's
where
that's
he
what
became
I'm
known
talking
about, was through Mimic.
Through Mimic, which I remember watching in high school, and I mean, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought I had fun, but I always confused it. I only saw it in high school, and I had fond memories, and so that makes me believe that it was actually pretty good then, but maybe not a great movie. So I hadn't rewatched it in a long time, but I always confused it with The Relic because the names are similar.
Yeah,
and they're both a bug creature.
Yeah, it was a very similar film. I remember they came out the same year. I remember watching both, and I think one of them is good and the other one is not, and I can't remember which is which. Right. I think Mimic was good and The Relic was not. That's my guess.
Because I think The Relic was more the schlocky one where it was just like it didn't have a cool story. It was just like it's a scientist that works in a museum and they brought something back.
And they brought something back.
That's all it is.
Yeah, and it just kills things.
Yeah.
But Hollywood likes to do that. Right?
Sure.
Especially back then. They were doing it all the time, right?
And it just leads to more confusion with everything. But so what the only other two that I really remember are Death by Asteroid movies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had Armageddon
and Deep Impact. The Morgan Freeman, Elijah Wood film.
Yeah.
But the Wattos receded.
Yeah.
I just remember him speaking as the president, black president. Hey. It came to pass.
Yeah, definitely had
Morgan
its time.
Freeman laid the groundwork for Barack Obama.
We also had Volcano.
Volcano. Which was Volcano with
Volcano was one,
and Dante's Peak.
Dante's Peak with Pierce Brosnan.
and what's her name? Hamill. Terminator.
Oh yeah. Linda Hamilton.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yes.
But those all had fun death scenes with people just getting destroyed by lava.
Yeah.
Just like so they did. Is there another couple that you can think of though? Because I remember those ones vividly, and it's funny. Mimic and Relic seem to be the same thing.
Yeah,
but I guess the idea is the scripts are out there, and another production company would just get wind of they're doing this, and they would try to beat them to the punch. That's what was happening, right?
What it evolved into is kind of what I deemed like the sci-fi original mess, which is they're releasing, and actually just happened this year too. So let's just talk about this one.
Okay.
So the Dune remake comes out.
Yeah.
Sci-fi. Straight to TV did a Dune movie,
what?
And it literally has the word Dune in the title because you can't copyright that shit.
Dune, where's my car?
Yeah, Dune. Where is it? I'm looking it up right now.
Dune, where's my sand crawler?
Yeah.
So how many IPs can we jump off of?
Come on. Unfortunately, you search Dune sci-fi and a lot of things happen.
I would imagine.
Sci-fi.
Maybe it's
2021. I gotta put 2021.
A different sand planet. It's not Arrakis.
It's definitely not Arrakis. But it's hilarious.
You've seen
No, I didn't watch it, but I went as far as to read the synopsis. I'm like, I gotta know what this movie's about. And they literally are on a desert planet fighting sandworms as the entire plot of the film.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because they would do a lot of that with it's like, okay, well, this new Marvel thing is out, so let's do something that's sort of like that. But it happened more so with different horror ones where they would just do cheap, like when Game of Thrones and things, they would do a cheap dragon-y type thing, or with Lord of the Rings, I remember they would do different kind of troll type stuff would come out, fantasy type things where they would just do awful graphics that you would have seen on your
Oh
Windows
yeah,
95
somebody
video
made it on their
games.
laptop,
Yeah,
and it probably starred Kevin Sorbo,
sure.
who I love, and I'm not dissing at all in this moment, but he played like the Merlin or the Gandalf type character in this series of fantasy films
Yeah,
that I think started like probably right around the times of Lord of the Rings, and they've made like 8 or 9 of these. I think they're just called like Mystaria is like the title, and then
yeah.
you've got a subtitle for every
Sure.
movie, and he's in all of them.
Good
And
for him.
and the movies are obviously all very different. The casts are all very different, but the only
But
thing
he's
that remains
the
is
running
Kevin
part, yeah.
Sorbo,
Well, with clout like
who I
that.
love. He's
Do
great.
you?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
Hercules?
Hercules.
Oh, it's called Planet Dune.
What?
It's called Planet Dune. It's a crew on a mission to rescue a marooned base on a desert planet turns deadly when the crew finds themselves hunted and attacked by the planet's apex predators, giant sandworms, exclamation point.
That's too bad.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And,
Shameless.
you flip through the cast and you don't know a single one of these guys. Unless you watch Sci-Fi Originals, because then you probably know everybody.
I heard they might have tapped on the Day of the Dead.
Let's hope not. Okay, so Mimic and Relic. And then,
so from what I've heard, he did Mimic, but he hated doing Mimic.
Okay.
This was the Weinstein company had so much, they wanted to direct so much and just pull his artistic license and freedom away and say, this has to be done this way, or you have to do it like this, and you need to do this. They had so much oversight and manipulation that it really ruined the whole experience for him. And he acknowledges, it's not what he wanted, and that's why it might not, it kind of flopped or wasn't as big, and as it's not a pinnacle movie of his in the same kind of way. But it kind of tainted it a little bit,
right? And
that's why he then leaves to go back to Mexico and do his films, and that's when he makes the next film,
The Devil's Backbone.
Yeah, Devil's Backbone.
Now, back to Mimic for just half a second.
Yeah,
the sci-fi horror that year was Species, and everybody was trying to beat Species, and nobody did.
Species was great. I love Species.
The first one was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You put Alfred Molina and Ben Kingsley in a movie? Are you fucking kidding me? They could do anything. Together, I would watch it.
Sure.
Absolutely. So he comes back to America, to Hollywood, for the best of the Blade trilogy, Blade 2.
Yeah. He's known for having a passion and a love of comic book characters, and that's what gets him to doing his next feature after Blade 2, but it's like his first foray into doing that kind of a film, where he clearly is starting to refine just how to have fun with a story, but add all the cool details and the lore of the world that those characters exist in, and really flesh it out in a visceral or visual, exciting and interesting way. Because the other films he's done thus far are more subdued. Like Devil's Backbone is a cool ghost story, a lot of good imagery, and you can see a lot of the what happens in Pan's Labyrinth coming from Devil's Backbone. But it laid the groundwork for that. But Blade 2 is the first time where he's really creating a more fantastical universe and learning how to do it and tell a story in a different kind of way because of the subject matter being just comic book.
Right. And he moves on from Blade 2 to Hellboy, which, love it or hate it, was just a great comic book movie.
I loved it, yeah.
The first Hellboy, great comic book movie.
And apparently he fought, and it took a lot of arguing to get Ron Perlman to cast in Hellboy.
Who was in Kronos. He had worked with him in Kronos. So, maybe they were friends, or maybe he just thought Ron Perlman was for Hellboy.
Yeah, I mean, visually it seems perfect.
Oh, yeah. I don't think there could have been a better cast. After watching the film, I don't want to see anyone other than Ron Perlman play Hellboy. Right.
Yeah, it's like just certain actors are made for certain roles, and they just embody it, or they just have the look, and you can't picture anyone
or
else.
Even the attitude. Like Ron Perlman's other characters, even his bit roles in other films or his main roles. You talk Alien Resurrection.
Yeah.
He plays he's Hellboy. He's just just a space guy. Just same attitude, same every and that's what we like about Ron Perlman.
Right.
And then, of course, his tour de force there. Pan's Labyrinth is next, and his highest rated film, I would say it's his best film easily.
Yeah.
Was definitely the best, horror fantasy movie of 2006. Just what I mean. I don't think anybody can say a bad word about Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah. So I kind of relate it, or it makes me think of The Pianist.
Okay.
Just in the sense that, so Pan's Labyrinth, it's Nazi Germany.
Yep.
And this kid's living through it, and there's all this fantasy around that's happening. That's this distraction, but also this dichotomy that's just reinforcing things. And it's kind of funny to me to think about it in this lens. The Pianist was trying to do the same thing, except it was what's his face making it out to seem like this was a game for his kid, so his kid didn't see the horrors of the war. I don't know. I relate the two in my head. I just can't separate them. It just makes me think of them. It's a silly relationship, but I think it's funny. But yeah, Pan's Labyrinth. Hellboy. So Blade kind of started it, but Hellboy accentuated all the unique characters and creature design, which is what now when we're talking about Antlers, where he's really he knows how to do a goddamn creature.
Oh yeah.
And so Hellboy had a ton of uniqueness, but Pan's Labyrinth, some of those monsters. Just everyone knows the eyes do.
The eyeballs guy.
Yeah.
Who played Abe in Hellboy.
Yeah.
So he had already worked with him, bringing the guy back. The satyr himself was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk about the Antlers monster, the Wendigo, and you can see the satyr from Pan's Labyrinth in that creature, because it was just so big and just gorgeous work.
Yeah. So then after Pan's Labyrinth, he
let's talk about 2006 real quick.
Yeah. Okay. As far as what happened during that year,
Slither, Silent Hill, and I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Really?
All came out that year.
I Know What You Did Last Summer was 2006. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And Slither, one of my favorite camp horror movies of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Over the top, just fun.
So, even with those three movies coming out, Pan's Labyrinth definitely takes the title for best horror of that year. Okay, next was Hellboy 2, correct?
Yep, Hellboy 2, The Golden Army. So just more fleshing out the universe that Hellboy exists in, more creatures, more puppetry, more costume, more makeup, more set design, just over the top, everything about the Hellboy universe, but just dialed up to an 11. Yeah,
I would say, as much as I did not like Hellboy 2 as a movie, beautiful movie.
Yes.
Visually.
Yeah, the story and everything is not as interesting, because they're not doing anything that much more creative and new and exciting with the story and the characters. It's just these are them. Here's an adventure they're on.
Yeah.
And so that's okay. And there's a ton of cool shit in it. Yeah,
there was not a lot of risk taken
that's fair.
With the story, right? After that, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Now, Pacific Rim was fun.
Pacific Rim, the original Pacific Rim, was great.
Yeah. Great action movie. Just you know how I feel about CG.
Sure, yeah. This had to be a lot CG.
But still very well done.
Yeah.
Really, really enjoyed Pacific Rim. Who's the casting? Was it the guy from...
So, Idris Elba and... but the lead main dude...
Was it the guy from Sons of Anarchy, or was it the other guy?
I can't remember. Let me get his name. We'll pull it up. But, so, I liked it because,
Charlie Hunnam. Okay. The guy from Sons of Anarchy, yeah. Oh, yeah, had some Charlie Day in there, too.
Yeah.
So Pacific Rim, as we were talking before about Mimic, Pacific Rim had a ripoff movie.
It did?
Yes, it did.
Am I blanking on this one?
Yeah, it was called like Atlantic something, and it was terrible.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was like the sci-fi ripoff movie, right?
Yeah. So how did it all happen then? Because I'm trying to remember when Pacific Rim came out. Um, there were it just got the ball rolling on giant mech and movies, right? Like, and so
Yep, it was actually called Atlantic Rim.
Atlantic Rim. Okay.
Yep, had a budget of $500,000 put out by the Asylum in 2013. This is the same company. I'm pretty sure that does all those sci-fi originals. Yep, Sharknado and Z Nation. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So the monsters in Pacific Rim, the kaiju,
The kaiju.
are they somehow related to the Godzilla universe also?
I don't know if it was direct, but it was definitely a nod.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. The whole film is a nod to Godzilla.
They're not canonically related, right?
I don't think so.
Okay.
But who doesn't love kaiju?
Yeah.
Right. And giant robots. I mean, it feels like an episode of Power Rangers turned into a movie, right? Or Ultraman, if you go back a little further.
Yeah. Okay. So after Pacific Rim, then he starts to get more into horror again.
Yeah, he brings it back with The Strain.
Yeah.
Which I only watched season 1, and I really, really enjoyed. I didn't read it though.
Right. So he co-authors it with I can't remember the guy. For some reason, I want to say it's Chuck Hogan. I could be wrong. Chuck Hogan could be a co-author or something to something else, but I think I'm right. Anyways, the book is excellent. It's a modern day take on Nosferatu and vampire lore. So the way it's written, and the way they kind of do it in the show, it's like, okay, Dracula more or less is dropped in New York City. What's going to happen? And it's awesome because they just, and the way the book is written, it is so much better than TV. So I saw a couple episodes. I couldn't watch it because I'd already been so familiarized with the characters in the book. But the way it's written is just great. It's just like with all the other films that we've talked about with as standout characters that have deep history, that are done well, that you care about, that you want to see interact in this world that he's making, and you're invested in it. And the show, I think, is executed it because they did it for a while. They've made several seasons. But the book is excellent. It's completely different. I don't know how much he was involved in writing it. It might have just been like, here's the idea. You're the writer. Go do the details. But here's what you need to write about.
Right.
And I'll make sure it's okay. But yeah, it was a really cool story. The idea of it is fun. A modern day tale of Dracula is just something fun that I would be interested in getting into.
After that, or during that, he took some time to do Crimson Peak.
Right.
Which, have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay. So I actually enjoyed this movie.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't watch it until this year. I just happened to throw it on. I think it popped up on Netflix. And I was like, Guillermo Del Torro, Tom Hiddleston. It's Hunnam again, the guy from Sons of Anarchy. And for, once again, Guillermo Del Torro, he really knows how to visually create a scene. You get to the end of the movie, you've got the underground, you've got the blood pools, you've got the snow. Mm-hmm. So there's like a lot of like great imagery, especially the contrasting of the red, right? He's got the clay machine going, and that's red clay and it's white snow, and it's all very beautiful.
Yeah.
As a horror movie,
yeah, it's very
yeah. The story though, I really, really enjoyed. So at the end of this movie, I'm like, am I gonna watch it again? Probably not. Will I talk about this movie because I really enjoyed the story? Yes, I will. Guillermo Del Toro wrote and directed it. So probably also based on a novel he wrote, I would assume, or a graphic novel at least.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it was an original screenplay. I mean, any way you look at it, um, obviously the brother sister twist was pretty obvious. I don't think it was shocked anybody.
Sure.
But it was still good, and I think it was good because I believed it. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't, the ghost premonitions that she suffered, warning her about Crimson Peak.
Right. Yeah.
But the actual events, how they unfolded, pretty good story. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed it.
Well, like it's just the idea of there being a mansion or a house or a location and a character or characters are brought to it and things happen. It's like it's just such well laid groundwork already. It's been so done. I don't think it brought a ton of stuff new and exciting, but it's critical. But so that's all it is. It's I feel like it's something you've already seen, even if you hadn't seen it.
Yeah. In my rating, when I rate things, I go to 10.
Sure.
A 7 and up, I will watch again. A 6 and below, I will not.
Yeah.
I give Crimson Peak a 6 because I did enjoy it, but I definitely won't watch it again.
Okay. So then, after Crimson Peak is probably what he's modernly known for as being the best of his films, and that's The Shape of Water,
which I have not seen.
I have also not seen it.
Yeah, but I've heard that it is excellent.
Yeah, well, so it's visually. I don't remember which awards it won, but it won Best Picture that year. I'm pretty sure in Oscars. I think it was awarded Best Picture.
I'm checking right now.
Yeah, double check.
We'll find out.
But I feel like it's like it was a. I don't know how these kinds of things happen. It's just whatever people want to do.
Oh yeah.
But I think it was that
best director, best film, best score.
But a lot of it, I think, is the timing of when it came out, and you can't always trust your words. Like, okay, it was different. It was about love between two characters that should not be in love or aren't allowed to be in love.
And star-crossed.
In the past 5 years, culturally, there's been so many changes in what is perceived as, like, you know what I mean. It's just it seemed the timing of it lended itself to an award season type movie. It just kind of happened at the right time, right place. But even still, the what I've seen, does look really good. It just the story didn't seem as interesting to me, and so I just never bothered to sit down just yet.
Big Michael Shannon fan, though. I would watch it just for him. Since The Shape of Water until Antlers, just some kid stuff. Looks like Troll Hunters.
Yeah, Troll Hunters, which
and
I mentioned,
Three Below, which is also Tales of Arcadia.
Yeah, Troll Hunters. So Three Below is like the Troll Hunters story is excellent. It really does remind me a lot of Hellboy. If you're into Hellboy, and whenever they went to the market with all those other characters that are, some are trolls and other things, elves and whatnot, wizards and things. Troll Hunters, Tales of Arcadia is in that kind of a universe. And it's really cool. Little U.S.-born, an American kid comes across the troll universe and now has to take on the mantle of Troll Hunter to fight the bad trolls. And he's trained by other good characters, and it's awesome. The Three Below is like a spin-off in that universe, and those characters end up coming together to be in a new movie that just came out this year, Rise of the Titans in Troll Hunters. I just watched that a little while ago with the kids. It's a very good kid movie.
And since he only produced Antlers, although we definitely see a lot of his influence in the film, he did produce the Witches remake that came out straight to HBO streaming, I believe.
Oh, did he?
Which I did not watch. I was a huge fan of the Angelica Houston original. As a kid. Although I do love Anne Hathaway and I do love Stanley Tucci, I have not given this one a shot yet. I definitely will watch it. I just haven't gotten to it.
So what's interesting, and this is one that maybe we'll do another little snippet, is it's coming out in December. Is a new film that he has both written and is directing, and it's Nightmare Alley.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that I saw the trailer for this when I went to see what's it called? Antlers, if I'm correct. And it looked very interesting. So we'll see.
Okay.
There's that, and then I guess the next thing coming up on his IMDb is Pinocchio for next year. He's
Right, which is that supposed to be a horror too?
Darker version of the classic children's fairy tale.
Yeah, and Nightmare Alley is what's this, noir crime drama starring Bradley Cooper and Cate Blanchett?
Yes,
with Willem Dafoe and Ron Perlman, Tim Blake Nelson. This says everybody.
Yeah, the trailer was really interesting.
Wow. Yeah, this cast is excellent. Yeah, it looks like I'll be.
Yeah, we'll revisit.
Yeah, we'll
a quick to see how Nightmare Alley goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, this week in horror.
Yeah.
We had Chucky episode 3. Let's start with Chucky because I'm so excited about Chucky. Episode 1, episode 2, just so good, building this great world.
Yeah, for me 2 really just tightened it up because the things that I didn't like about the first episode got resolved in episode 2.
Right.
For me, in episode 1, there's so much driven in the plot with like the music and the background, him walking on the bus, and I was like, it's just I don't get the music thing, and what's the deal? And episode 2, they like kind of it just seemed like a different kind of movie. It was more sure-footed and or series, and the way it was getting, and also the puppetry with Chucky was starting to get really more fun, and where he's interacting in a different way. So it changed, and now so 3, I'm like, I'm on board now to keep going on.
Well, yeah. So episode 3, we get more Charles Lee Ray flashbacks. We get more of his origin story, how he killed his mother while hiding with her in the closet as a serial killer kills his father. So we don't know what happens. The serial killer opens the closet to kill whoever's in there, and Charles Lee Ray says, "Did I do a good job?"
Yeah, like I didn't see that coming. Like it seems oversimplified. Like I don't really buy it, but okay, sure. I mean, his father, the guy was going after his father, like Michael Myers was in Halloween Kills.
Oh, absolutely.
Where he was just sniping the guy in the back, like repeatedly. It was pretty graphic.
Yeah. It was a good kill. And this is where it started. That was his first kill, and we get to see how messed up Charles Lee Ray's backstory really is.
Yeah, and it's all in service of trying to let Chucky, because Jake is asking him, like, how did you get into this, or what did you do? And so Chucky's trying to like encourage him to embrace his dark side, and he wants to relate and tell him about his past. And so the whole time Chucky's narrating more of this episode, talking about things he did in the past, and it's relating to what Jake is now doing in current. And that's a neat twist. It's always fun to listen to Brad Dourif doing his voice.
Brad Dourif's Chucky voice is half the reason I watched the show.
For sure.
When he holds up his little Chucky hands and he goes, "You ever try strangling someone with these?" Come on, like that's why we watch.
Right. All of the jokes and ways that you can like play with the fact that yes, it's absurd. It's a possessed children's doll that's doing all these things, but the soul of a serial killer. It's hilarious. And Absolutely. They just accept it. Like, this is it. It's funny.
Yeah.
Episode 3 is Lexi has kids over during the day. The parents leave for whatever reason, and she's trying to watch the sister. So, and she goes to Jake because the sister wants the doll.
Right.
So she goes to Jake's place.
Right. And Jake is posed with a conundrum of, do I plant Chucky to kill Lexi, and become this monster.
Right, because the episode started, he tried to do it.
He tried to kill Lexi, but he couldn't bring himself to it. Well, he
ran up on Junior.
He ran up on Junior. He thought Junior was Lexi, right? So everyone's
so he's wondering, like, am I going to be able to do this? Do I have the wherewithal to see it through, or is there another way to do it? Can he just do it for me? Because I don't think I can.
Right.
You're right. Yeah, he's thinking of it.
Yeah. So he does. In the end, he does decide, I can let Chucky do this for me.
I thought it was hilarious though when Lexi comes back over to confront him, to like say like, hey, can I have the doll or whatever, before he decides to let her have the doll because of the that he'll take care of business for her. The shot of him in the garage looking at each weapon. What can I use? What feels right? And then she walks up and he's like still holding it, thinking about it, like do I do this now?
Yeah. And Jake goes through some serious shit in episode 3, like some internal stuff. Do I have what it takes to be a killer? Am I a monster?
Mm-hmm.
Can I do this? Should I do this?
And he's thrown off when Lexi is somewhat apologetic. It's not a true apology. Right. She's bullshitting her way through it, and he knows that, but like it throws him for a loop a little bit because he's like, wait, what are you apologizing for? So when it's clued in that Chucky's going to take care of this for him, then he acquiesces. He brings the doll over.
Yeah. He gives the doll to the sister, plants the doll. Lexi has this party where...
a day party.
A day party where everyone's wearing the same Bluetooth headphones and just kind of raving out.
Is that real technology? I didn't realize it was real technology.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
They have like silent raves and stuff where people...
I would love to do that.
And they're all listening to the same thing. And
that sounds great.
Definitely real stuff.
It just... I couldn't.
We're just too old.
Yeah, probably. But it seemed it was just funny. It was also during the day, and I was like, I don't think these guys are doing any drugs. Oh no, the one kid did bring the alcohol. That's right.
Yeah, Oliver.
Yes, Oliver, who Junior is jealous of, but maybe not entirely just jealous. Is he jealous of Oliver? Or is he jealous of Lexi?
Oh,
I don't know.
We don't know. We do know that Chucky kills Oliver. So it doesn't matter. Because he's going to kill Lexi with his classic knife.
Yep.
And he turns the corner and finds Oliver and says, "Oh fuck, I gotta kill this guy now. He saw me."
That's what he says.
He literally says it.
Well, I guess you're dying.
Yeah. Oh well. And it just like comes in, just chases him down.
Yeah. And more POV of the Chucky doll through the house whenever he got into that room to find what he thought was Lexi.
Yeah. So we get a good kill. And he does track Lexi down too.
Yeah. She's taking a respite from the party to smoke a joint.
Yep. And somehow the cast off lights a curtain on fire.
Yeah.
And he
jumps on her. And that's it. It falls out of her mouth, I think.
Yeah. So the whole place is burning down, and the last thing we see is Chucky just coming up on her, and she screams, and we get the credits.
Yeah.
Overall, just a really great episode. Did Jake have remorse and come to this party?
No, he leaves, and I can't recall if he's at cemetery.
Oh, like visiting his dad?
Yeah, visiting the grave.
Oh, right. Because both of his parents were buried next to each other.
Right.
I do remember this scene.
Yeah, so I don't recall if that's happening at the end of this episode or at the beginning of the next episode.
Right. Okay. So, well, they run together.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and I think that's I can't recall. So
it's another great thing about any kind of serialized television when it's done the way this is done, it feels like a really long movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's what it is, I guess.
When every episode is not a one shot, it is a perfectly continuous, uninterrupted story.
Yeah. And for the most part, they're creating more dynamic characters. Lexi's more interesting now. She's
absolutely.
surviving a Chucky attack, seemingly.
Yep.
Her other potential love interest has just got killed. Jake has now got another layer of questioning, going with it, but not going with it.
Another interesting thing to point out is how Chucky's trying to manipulate Jake into becoming a killer. Chucky's also trying to manipulate Lexi's younger sister, who we believe is on the spectrum.
Sure.
She's definitely gifted in some ways.
Yeah, she had got bouts. She's lashing out different things,
But he's also trying to turn her into a killer.
Yeah.
So Chucky's just all sorts of bad.
Right.
And we're seeing different sides of characters in this episode. So if you're not watching Chucky yet, get on it.
Yep. I can't remember the title. I Like to Be Hugged.
I Like to Be Hugged.
Was that reference? Did he say that? Was that referenced somewhere in the episode?
I don't know if it was referenced, but
I can't remember.
We know that is one of his classic lines.
Yeah. Great. So get on it if you haven't seen it. Catch up. They are quick watches.
Oh yeah,
they go through.
They feel so fast.
Yeah,
because it's full joy. Like the story, the comedy, the kills. They're 45 minutes. They feel like 20, and you just wish they were longer.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we have.
So we're gonna move on to next show.
I
know what you did last summer.
What you did last summer.
This is going to be episode 5, Mukbang.
Mukbang,
and it opens with my probably least favorite character, Margot, stuffing her face.
Right, because she's having she's binging again because of the anxiety and stress of the murders.
Yeah, it's backstory. I don't really care about her, though, and the backstory, whatever struggle. She's a shitty person, so I don't really care. Yeah, I get you're struggling with something, but you're outwardly shitty, and you're inwardly shitty. I guess that makes sense.
All we really want is to see you die.
But it was super gross. The eating was super gross. I was uncomfortable watching it. I was like, this is disgusting. Because even if you're just filming this, you're doing a couple takes, even a couple of these, I'm like, okay, I'm done for the day doing those two. And she just keeps going. It was pretty over the top.
Yeah,
I've seen a few after school
specials.
Yeah, I remember one. It was the same time. Do you not remember the one? Did you ever see the one? A sidebar. The kid finds the gun and he's like painting a model of a werewolf in that episode. Did you ever see that one?
No.
It's like there's a kid and it's about like don't play with guns because I think a kid gets killed and shot with a gun at the end of it. But like the whole episode, he's painting a little model miniature of a werewolf, and so it stands out. And I think in that same arc, there was one where a girl is in the back of like a Bronco or something, and she's got like just bags of chips and desserts and everything, and she's sitting in the back of it and she's eating, and she's just gonna go throw it all up. Anyways, it shocked me, I think, at that age, and so I don't like watching people do that.
Well, I'm sure someone is glad to know that the after school special actually had an effect on a person.
Yeah, it worked out.
Yeah, because we know that this is your brain.
Except there's been times when I've been like, I kind of want to throw up everything I just ate, and I've tried, and I can't do it.
Yeah. I think we've all been there.
There's certain things I can eat that'll elicit it, but I can't stick a finger in my throat.
No, I definitely can't do that either.
All right. So anyways, it was just the intro. That's not the whole episode. So let's move on. So I know you did that summer, episode 5, Mukbang. This is... I liked this episode for progressing the story. There was a lot more interactions between the characters that are left and trying to figure out what's going on with the mystery, the whodunit that we're dealing with in this whole story. So the episode mainly revolves around everyone going through detailed interviews with the police.
Right.
So that other deputy was killed. There's now the stand-in, very kind of unassuming, mild-mannered, but physically intimidating female police officer who seems kind of dim-witted, but is actually kind of smart from time to time with the scenes, with the way that she's talking about stuff. She's very by the book and procedural, so it's similar to the first guy, but she's kind of more comical in a serious way. At any rate, so it's and now there's that other detective. I can't remember where they're from. The person that discovers by the end of this episode the frozen spider connection. She's the one in the white blouse. I don't remember her job title. She's always with the cop, the sheriff, Lila or whatever, Lyle. I think that's
Lila.
Yeah, I don't remember what her actual role is. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, so everyone's going through interviews, and so this is where Allison, aka Lennon, needs to be on her game because a lot of the story and the questions she's going to ask are about everything that's going on. And she knows, like, okay, well, I'm not really who I am. Like, so there's layers upon layers of what she's supposed to say and not. So that, like, the tension of that and the way that they shoot it was interesting because it goes from one character to the next and they're answering questions,
right,
and just being grilled. It was kind of interesting to see how everyone answered different things.
Right. I mean, there was a pretty glaring issue with the OnlyFans account.
Right.
So that's Lennon using Allison's name. And Allison is the one who's supposed to be dead because we have Allison posing as Lennon. But we know that Allison would never have an OnlyFans account.
Sure.
So, how difficult would it be to find out that OnlyFans account actually belonged to Lennon? And now you have to talk to Allison as Lennon about her OnlyFans account.
Right.
So they've created a weird kind of, I don't know, B plot that is probably going to go off into nothing because
it's just unresolved.
Yeah,
it's a plot hole that can't get filled.
Can't get filled because it can only lead to more trouble or to the revelation of Allison's true identity. Which maybe that's how it gets there.
It's just like, because it could seem like it's just one of those things where it's like, ooh, this will make the story more interesting, and so we'll throw this in there. There's an OnlyFans. It's relevant because that's what people do now, and it makes her seem like a more tragic figure. And I think they thought of that, like, that's a cool idea, but then they didn't think through what are the ramifications when now it exists in the universe and other characters know about it, but they're blaming it on a different. It just, it doesn't really.
Also, Margot participates.
Yeah, one of the videos is her. Yeah.
So how does Margot, at the very least, not get that this Allison is actually that this Lennon is actually Allison?
Right.
Like,
it's weird.
Like, to know somebody at that intimate level.
Yeah.
It's.
But that's the question. Yeah.
I agree that I enjoyed the episode and that the show's getting better the more I watch of it. But this episode in particular was like throwing a bunch of stuff at the walls.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of it was going to stick.
Right. So they're doing the interviews. I'm trying to think what else is going on. If it really just does, I think that this one just jumps right to the interviews are over for the kids, but now they're going to interview Clara, who is our one primary suspect after all the events thus far.
Right. One of the hippie-esque potential cult members that survived from back in the day, maybe. Who knows?
That knows about the cults.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely was on the beach in the background. Saw them that
Dylan
night.
that other day.
Yeah. Apparently married Bruce.
Yeah. So by the end of the episode, so the kids take the opportunity to go root through her shit.
Yeah.
To go to her place and try to find out some answers because they all suspect her. She's now occupied with the cops and they're going to go look at. So it's a giant compound that used to be where all the cultists were living, where they all died.
She also drives the big black pickup, which we've talked about before.
Which, sidebar, outside of work today, where I was at, there were 4 black pickups of the guys I work with, so it's a real thing. It's not just Hawaii.
Yeah, everybody owns that track.
So they all go to her place, and they're seeing everything. They're going through all of her stuff. They see the spiders that the cops know about as being real, so we know that there's going to be a connection there eventually, because they talk about it during the interview, or they're looking at the spiders, and then you see the spiders in the place that the kids are walking by. But like you just said, the big evidence room that Lennon/Allison discovers is that there's photo albums. She happens to go through just the right photo album. That's how it goes. That fate does what fate does.
Oh yeah.
And she sees a photo of her father and Clara and what looks like a wedding ceremony as a couple.
Yes. And of course, they stay too long.
Naturally.
And the homeowner must return.
With no chill.
Right.
With zero chill.
Yeah, right. She returns.
And she comes back. She knows these are the fucking kids that are in my house.
Yeah, she returns with a shotgun.
Yeah.
A machete.
She's shooting. Immediately. And dogs.
And a machete.
She releases the hounds.
She releases the hounds, yeah. But they all make it out. They all survive.
Yes.
And Allison does not confront her father at this time.
Right. Yes, she does not. She kind of, it's like she has information and she's arguing with him, but she won't just say what she's fucking found out. She plays some dumb game with him and you lie to me or whatever, you don't tell me the truth or why are you doing this, and she just storms off and leaves. And she goes to what's her name's house to spend the night, to Margot's, and try to patch that relationship up because she's been distant from her, which she knows is not a good look because her and Lennon and Margot are supposed to be best buds, so she's got to kind of mend that fence.
Right.
And then the ending scene though,
we get the flashback.
Yeah, wow. Which flashback are you?
Of Bruce and Lennon.
Oh yes, that is also happening in this. Yeah. I was talking about the other scene where you hear panting in the at Clara's at the compound. You see the machete and heavy breathing, like someone's been hurt, but you don't see who it is. It's just in the area where everyone was running. Right. And you hear someone's in distress, and you see the bloody machete, but you don't know who's happening. But yes, go on.
Yes.
The other part.
We have Bruce and Lennon in the flashback. Back to that night where they share a secret, which we don't get to hear. And he drops.
Talking in code.
We both decided it'd be best if she didn't know.
Yep.
And he lets her out in the middle of the road, seemingly to immediately get hit by Allison as soon as he's out of shot.
And that's what's ridiculous, because we talked about this in the first episode recap.
Is how'd she get there?
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
We get she got there. How did he get ahead of them on the road?
Right.
What route did he know?
So if we go back to episode 1,
right.
Allison and Lennon fight about Lennon fucking Dylan.
Yeah.
To which Lennon immediately calls her father to get picked up and leaves. That's how it would have to happen.
Right. Allison, well, yeah, but no, Allison leaves first because she's more upset. She leaves the situation.
She goes into Lennon. She gets into Lennon's Jeep.
And then all the friends get in.
And
they leave. And then I'm pretty fucking sure Lennon then leaves after that.
Oh, you think we have more evidence, visual evidence from the show that she talked to people after they left.
Because she's struggling to get the hoodie, and then she finds the father, and the father's like talking with the cop and everyone else at the party. I feel like there's more of stuff that happened in the house.
Right. So now maybe in flashbacks we're going to find out what happened before Allison got into the Jeep, because we don't know how much time passed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
we could say she could.
But it's annoying. It's an annoying thing to just do. Like just edit your movie better.
Yes, the way it was laid out, it feels like minutes. When she could have been alone in that Jeep crying for 30 minutes.
I'm not saying it's as frustrating as trying to figure out the Witcher timeline, but this is hard to really piece together.
It is hard to piece together, but that's part of the intrigue, right? It's part of the reason why we watch.
It's not Witcher level.
It is not The Witcher.
I'm watching The Witcher, and it's like, oh, this is from 20 years later or earlier. What?
The Witcher timeline is tough.
It's jacked.
It's tough.
And they don't care. It's from one episode to the next. They're like, yeah, 20 years have passed. Oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, they're talking about this from...
Yeah, 20 years passed.
The butcher of such and such.
You should have read the books and played the games.
Yeah, I know.
If you didn't, fuck you.
Yeah, apparently. Did you read the book?
No.
Did you play the games?
No. I'm just loving the show.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's it. As like for me, I get to love the show because I don't have a backstory. Right?
Yeah.
It's like the guy who like read the Stephen King book and is like, great, I'm gonna hate this movie.
Yeah,
you probably will because Stephen King's an amazing writer, and some guy who's making an adaptation is not Stephen King.
Yeah.
Not that all Stephen King movies are bad.
No, yeah, some are excellent. For sure.
There was a guy. There was a guy who did a bunch of good ones. I believe it's Frank Darabont did the majority of the 80s and 90s adaptations of Stephen King's work.
Sure.
All of his were good. He did the first Pet Cemetery.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about
did he,
exactly
everything. Christine, I thought was pretty good too, even though I don't know if it's a lot of identical to the text. But at any rate, so there's issues with
Frank Darabont, Shawshank Redemption, Green Mile, The Mist. Yeah, just to name a few.
Yeah, those are good. Those are 3 great ones. People love The Mist, and I'm fine with The Mist.
You talking about the movie or the show?
The movie.
Because I love the movie.
Like
that ending.
It's so obvious.
Oh.
Yeah, of course that's what's happening.
Yeah.
And it just bothered me. I was like, yes, I could have wrote this, and it bothered me. Much like someone once said recently to us, like they could write it and they can see it happening, and they don't enjoy the movie because of that. To me, The Mist, it bothered me that like I was like, yeah, okay, this is what's gonna happen. They're gonna do this, and then they're gonna be discovered. I get it. I know, and that happens, and like, yep, validated. I'm smart. No, it's just something about it I didn't like. I didn't like the religion angle of the people. It made sense to me. I just didn't like the way it was executed.
Sure.
Totally believable. Totally would have happened.
Well, he didn't do
it's not my thing. So
looks like he didn't do Pet Cemetery. My bad.
That's all right.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
He did a bunch of other great stuff. I mean, he definitely did all the big ones, right? Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. Stephen King is prolific in a lot of those stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He did the Night Shift collection from 1994. He did the TV adaptation of The Shining.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So
in short, in summation, in conclusion, I know what you did last summer. Getting better.
Yeah, I want to see what's happening. I want to know what's how things are going to resolve. It's still entertaining. Was there a?
I don't think there was a kill.
Episode. It was just the alluding to one at the end.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first episode since the first episode, not counting the inciting incident.
Yeah, you can't count that.
That we have no kills.
Right.
All right. So thanks for tuning in for another week, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
all right. Was Days of Confused?
Yeah. Yeah, but that was
not Fast Times.
Right.
Who was Fast Times? Spicoli. It was this like huge actor.
Yeah, Forrest Whitaker. And
you get out here. What's his name?
Who played Spicoli?
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
You're like the long-haired guy, the long-haired hippie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Milk, dude. It's like one of the greatest actors of our time.
Oh, Matthew McConaughey?
No, the other one.
From
that's Dazed and Confused from Fast Times.
The long-haired hippie guy.
Yeah, he played...
I don't remember his name.
Sean Penn.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
That was Spicoli.
Yeah. That
was it a Spicoli?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, I wanted to say Spuds McKenzie. But I don't know why.
It's like
his face, I think, reminds me of Spuds McKenzie, like that long-nosed, dumb-looking dog head.
I just couldn't like when you first made the reference. Yeah. I was like, that's fucking Milk. and I'm like,
oh right, like, the gay activist.
Sean.
I'm like, why the fuck is he saying Milk right now?
We both forgot Sean Penn's name. One of the greatest actors of our time.
Yeah, hey. I saw it's one of my favorites. not really my favorites, but one of the good ones that I saw in a film class was it Dead Man Walking? I think.
Yeah,
with,
Dead Man Walking.
With
Sure.
Susan Sarandon, I think.
Yeah. Susan Sarandon.
Mary Jean Prejean, Mary Prejean, the character, the nurse priest. None.
Yeah, this guy. I mean, Mystic River, obviously.
Man, I am all over the place.
Yeah. We had a lot of sidebars this time. All right, if you're still listening, see you next time.